Russell Wilson, the jig is up. Bronco country, let's ride off into the sunset. It is all over for Russ. Now, he hasn't been released, but that's just a formality. The news came out that Russell Wilson has been benched, demoted. You're no longer starting. He has been removed as the starter for the Denver football team. The game of charades is up. After playing this game most of the season, they did have a kerfluffle against the Lions when Sean Payton got into it. We knew at that point the end was near, but we did not anticipate that the Broncos would make this move. Sean Payton said the team was looking for a spark, wanted a spark there offensively. So they gave Russell Wilson a clipboard and said, go pound sand. Get out of here. Go away. And in his place, Jared Stidham, ex-Pat, ex-Raider. Jared Stidham takes over as he will be the quarterback for the final 2 weeks of the regular season. But that's secondary. Let's get to the meat of the matter here as we discuss the big NFL quarterback roulette. And the question, did Russell Wilson get a raw deal from Sean Payton and the Broncos? So I've been reading a lot of ex-jocks, fanboys in the media that feel like Russell Wilson was not respected. Bad job by Sean Payton. And it's like some kind of war crime. They need to have a tribunal for Sean Payton. I don't look at it that way. I look at it pretty simply that this guy's not good at his job and all that. But I've got Ken's Steakhouse, honey mustard, Tinseltown, and a 1957 Chevy. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make a cheeseball bowl game. The Denver Broncos have a better chance of going to a cheeseball bowl game than they do of actually going to like a real NFL playoff game. All right, so Russell Wilson did the thing you can't do at the time you can't do it. He was bad at his job. This is not that difficult. This is not that hard. He is being paid as a premium quarterback. His performance is lacking, right? He's being paid as a high-end starter, like right up here, and his performance is down here. That's a little lower near the bottom tier. And even with the Denver football team running a rudimentary offense, a dumbed-down offense, to try to hide the quarterback and polish him up a little bit, it didn't matter. Russ, who has played all season up until this point, 15th in pass attempts. Do you understand there are backup quarterbacks that are almost at the same number of throws that Russell Wilson's at, and he's played all year? Just shows you how little confidence Sean Payton and the offensive coaches there in Denver had with Russell Wilson. And, of course, we should also get to the point now where it's always about the money. There's always money involved in everything. And the news came out that Sean Payton had convinced the ownership, the Walmart family, that, hey, this guy can't play. He stinks, and if you want me to win, you have to get me a different quarterback. So they went and actually sell this at Walmart. They went and they got that Ken's Steakhouse honey mustard, which is like a salad dressing. Greatest honey mustard available I've found in the store. That's a Ken's Steakhouse brand honey mustard. So they bought a big container of that honey mustard, and they're going to pour it all over the $85 million that they will be eating in Denver because they couldn't help themselves. They were so horny to get a quarterback. They thought they were going to get Aaron Rodgers in Denver. They didn't end up with Aaron Rodgers. They even hired a doofus as their coach, Nathaniel Hackett, thinking they were going to get Aaron Rodgers, but it didn't work out. So then plan B was Russell Wilson. And he ends up, by the time he's done, he'll be released in March, but he's going to be there for 2 years. The Broncos, sight unseen, gave him the ridiculous extension. He already had 2 years left on his contract. The Broncos are like, no. Oh, come on. We're orgasmic. We are orgasmic. We need you, Russ. And they paid him. He bought the most expensive house in Colorado, and he can't play quarterback right now. Literally, in the history of Colorado, nobody has paid more for a home than Russell Wilson when he got the big contract and bought the home. The ironic part of this is if the Broncos had merely made the trade, right? Because nobody thought Russ would be this bad, but if they made the trade and not extended him and just see what happens, then they would have saved a lot of heartache and a lot of money. It's not my money, though. So it's great for generations of Russell Wilson's family. But he was asked to take some clauses out of his contract regarding injury guarantees, and Russ said he wouldn't do that. They were at loggerheads, and he was excommunicated as the starter in Denver. It's like the classic tune from Frank Sinatra. Right? That's life, right? You started out with a bang, but you ended up with a whimper. And that's how Russ ends it. $252 million, but $85 million is the big number. It's a lot of shekels that the Broncos will be having to pay in dead money, but it's not my money. They just have to get the way this works. I've been told by people that work in the NFL, if you want to get rid of a bad contract, you just have to be willing at quarterback to play someone on a rookie contract because you're essentially still going to be paying the money to Russ in terms of the salary cap, but I'm a salary cap truther. So the workaround is to get some guy in the third round or the second round and pay them the bare minimum, and then you're on your way. All right, now, page 2 here. How does Jarrett Stidham, how does he fit in for the Broncos? So Stidham, as one of my bosses here at Fox Sports Radio used to tell me every time the entire company would go to a big event and they'd leave me behind, that you're holding down the fort. So he's holding down the fort at this point, Jarrett Stidham. That's what he's doing. And it's really an ABR position for the Broncos. Anybody but Russ, that's their position, and he just happened to be next, and so he's in the on-deck circle. It's like they say in Tinseltown. You go to the Academy Awards, and your favorite actor needs to take a whiz. Somebody comes in there, sits in the chair, and it's called the seat filler. That's what Jarrett Stidham is doing. Now, maybe he'll be Kurt Warner or Brock Purdy or somebody like that. Don't hold your breath. Normally, the backup only plays well for 2 or 3 games, and then after that, the expiration date takes place. So we'll see how this works out, but he's merely, much like in Tinseltown, he's a seat filler. A couple of games, get an opportunity, get some tape, maybe go somewhere else as a backup next year. All right, last word here. So Russell Wilson, there's this hypothesis going around that Russ is now run out of real estate, that he's out of options. So has Russell Wilson run out of options for work as a starting quarterback? Not a backup, a starting quarterback in 2024. Has he run out of options? And while there is certainly a fog around Wilson, I am in the camp that he will be starting in 2024. I do not believe the over-the-top dramatic reporting that Russ is now out of sorts and he will not start again in 2024. Now, here's why. There is a supply chain shortage of quarterbacks. Have you seen some of the turdburgers who are starting at quarterback in the NFL? We are in a world where Tommy DeVito starts for the Giants for a couple of games and becomes a cult hero, a great fad hero there for the Giants and all that. So we're in that world. So if guys like Tommy DeVito are playing some of these other guys you've never heard of, you don't even remember when they were in college and they're starting in the NFL, then yes, Russell Wilson will be starting somewhere in the NFL with all his shortcomings. And he's going to benefit from the coaches that have that Father Flanagan in them. They want to help players down on their luck. And they'll say, well, if this guy, it's like a pet project. If Russell Wilson can have a return to glory with me as the coach, I get credit for that. Everyone will kiss my ass and say how great I am. That's the ticket right there. So it becomes a pet project. You know, a lot of guys have, if you're into cars, right, you'll get like a 1957 rusted out Chevy, and that'll be your hobby on the weekends, right? You'll just Saturday and Sunday, you'll fix that thing up, that rust bucket, and you'll try to get it working right and all that. And so Wilson becomes that guy. Now, where does he end up? The teams that are obviously going to change quarterbacks, you've got the Tennessee Titans. They don't have a quarterback. You've got the Washington Commandos or whatever the hell they're called, the Falcons. Those three are going to definitely have new quarterbacks. But then there's like 4 or 5 other teams that are in the gray area on what they're going to do. So I could see Russ going to Atlanta and selling the fact that he's a Super Bowl champion, because a lot of dumb, low-information fans think that actually has any value. Do you think that helped Russell Wilson at all, that he won a Super Bowl with Seattle, that prevented him from stinking with the Broncos? Because I tend not to. I think past accolades are great. They might sell tickets, but they don't actually they don't translate to any kind of enhanced success.